Well, guys, it is now time for my Week 8 picks of the 2023 NFL season. As last week, oh god, 5-8, my worst week of the year. Please be the only time I have a losing record this week. I swear, horrible 1 p.m. games. And if I remember correctly, if it wasn't for the Colts getting screwed over and the Browns winning, I would have gone winless, I think, for the 1 p.m. games. So, them getting robbed actually helped my stats a little bit better. But, man, that was a horrendous week I had last time. And, of course, here's the regular season and playoff standings at the season end today. In the AFC, it's the Chiefs with the bye, with Bills at Dolphins, Browns at Ravens, and Steelers at Jaguars. And in the NFC, it's the Eagles with the bye, with Buccaneers at Lions, Cowboys at 49ers, and Seahawks at Falcons. Alright, so now let's get to my Week 8 picks. Start off with pretty big outer conference match on Thursday night tonight, as it's the Buccaneers at the Bills for the first time since 2017. The Buccaneers won the last one. The Bills haven't beaten them since 2017, and the Buccaneers haven't won in Buffalo ever yet. They've only played there 3 times in the almost 50 years. So, anyways, the Buccaneers lost a close one to the Falcons, losing a chance to get a good lead on the division, as now they're trying to get back over 500. They've lost a lot of momentum after that 3-1 start. Meanwhile, the Bills, lost to the Patriots, too. And they choked away the lead, too, which was embarrassing. They played terrible. They finally got the lead, and they let the Patriots come back. So, yeah, not looking good. Already matched their loss total from last year, even though statistically they're supposed to still be pretty good. And, of course, remember, their stats are not updated, since lineups.com will not give me updated stats. They can't find a site that has actual accurate ones, which is really annoying, so I haven't touched them for 2 weeks now. So yeah, interesting game it will be, but I'm picking the Bills still for this. And then we get to the Sunday games, as it's the Texans at the Panthers. For the first time since 2015, the Panthers won the last 4. The Texans haven't beaten them since 2007. So the Texans, of course, were on their bye from when they beat the Saints, as they're already 1 win away from having a better record than last year and getting over 500 for the first time this year. Meanwhile, the Panthers, of course, are 0-6 for the first time since 1998, trying to avoid 0-7 for the first time since 1998, after they got beaten pretty badly by the Dolphins, I believe, 2 weeks ago, since I think they were on their bye. So, yeah, nothing seems to be going right for the Panthers. This will be very interesting to see Stroud and Young go up against each other, two QBs taking the draft, number 1 and 2. But right now, Stroud is the best of the rookie QBs at the moment, so I'm picking the Texans to get this. And then it's the Rams at the Cowboys for the first time since 2019. As the Cowboys won the last one, the Rams haven't beaten them since 2020, haven't won in Arlington since 2017. So the Rams, of course, as I predicted, ugly loss to the Steelers that they choked it away. Meanwhile, the Cowboys were on their bye after they beat the Chargers in a very close one on Monday night. Still not really impressed with them this year so far, but hey, I'm not been impressed with the Rams so far either as much, so I'm picking the Cowboys still for this. And then we get to a big NFC North matchup with the 2nd seed on the line, as the Vikings are at the Packers. As the Packers won the last one, the Vikings haven't beaten them since 2022, and they haven't won in Lambeau since 2020. So the 49ers got a huge needed victory over the 49ers, as they're 1 win away from getting back to 500, getting back into the playoff mix. Meanwhile, the Packers, Love has not been playing good like the last, 5 weeks, really. It's only the first 2 games he really cooked, as they've now lost 3 in a row, looking pretty bad after they blew it against the Broncos. Not looking right here. I almost want to pick the Vikings for this, but I know the history when they visit the Packers, and it's usually really bad, especially the last 2 years where they got obliterated. So, despite probably my better judgment, I'm still going to pick the Packers to get this one. And then we get to a big outer conference matchup, as it's the Saints at the Colts for the first time since 2015. As the Saints won the last 3, the Colts haven't beaten them since 2007. So the Saints lost to the Jaguars last second play on Thursday night, as they've now lost 2 in a row under 500. Meanwhile, the Colts got robbed in a wild, honestly, it's weird, because both games, the Browns won all because of their defense, the Colts almost won because of their offense, as Minshew put up 4 touchdowns, and they should have won, probably, if it wasn't for that stupid pass interference call, and all that. So yeah, very competitive, but just couldn't get the win in the end. And right now, despite the inconsistencies, I don't trust the Saints whatsoever, so I'm picking the Colts still to get this. And then we get to Patriots at the Dolphins, as the Dolphins won the last one. The Patriots haven't beaten them since 2022, and they haven't won in Miami since 2019. So, of course, the Patriots got a needed victory over the Bills. A huge upset that was to still salvage their season. But now they got to go to the Dolphins, who just lost to the Eagles. A pretty tough game they've had. So far, it seems the Eagles can't beat the Super Bowl contenders since they've lost to the Bills and now the Eagles. So not looking good there. But hey, they haven't lost to the Patriots at home in years, and they're still a better team. So I'm picking the Dolphins for this one. And then we get to our New York matchup, as the Jets are at the Giants for the first time since 2015. As the Jets won the last two, the Giants haven't beaten them since 2011, and they haven't won at home since 2007. So, of course, the Jets came off their bye after they beat the Eagles in impressive defensive showcases. They're almost one way away from getting back up to 500. Meanwhile, the Giants also had a needed victory as they beat the Commanders. Although not looking very impressive, this will be very interesting to see. But I am going to pick the Jets for this one. And then we get to a huge AFC matchup, as it's the Jaguars at the Steelers for the first time since 2017. As the Steelers won the last two, the Jaguars haven't beaten them since 2017. As the Jaguars have now won 4 in a row. They are up there with the top teams in the AFC after they beat the Saints, as they're trying to get to 6-2. Meanwhile, the Steelers also won big last week when they beat the Rams. Told you all that no matter how bad the Steelers are, they'll always find a way to win games, as they've done so. And this is going to be very interesting. Are the Jaguars good enough to beat the Steelers? Or could the Steelers continue this surprise streak? Well, not surprise to me, and get to 5-2. This one is kind of tough, but I think I just might pick the Jaguars for this one, but I'm not that fully confident. I won't be surprised if the Steelers get it. And then it's the Falcons at the Titans for the first time since 2015. As the Titans won the last one, the Falcons haven't beaten them since 2015. And the Titans haven't won at home against them since 2007. So the Falcons, of course, got a needed victory over the Buccaneers to get back over 500. And now once again lead the NFC South, which is a huge victory with them. They just got to worry about the Saints coming up still. So, yeah. And then the Titans, meanwhile, they're off their bye after they lost to the Ravens in London, as they lost 2 in a row now. Not looking really good. Again, this is another one that's tough to pick, because I don't really trust either teams, to be honest. But with the momentum, I think they're a little bit more consistent. I think I might just pick the Falcons. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans get it. And then it's the Eagles at the Commanders, as the Eagles won the last one. The Commanders haven't beaten them since 2022. And they haven't won at home since 2020. So the Eagles got a really impressive victory over the Dolphins. Finally started to look good for once after most of the year not playing as good. Meanwhile, the Commanders, ugly loss to the Giants, which they should have won, as their division lead is on the line. Their division chances are on the line with this game right here. If they want to have any chance to get back in the division, they have to win this. But yeah, even it's the last few years, the Eagles consistently destroy the Commanders when they're in Orlando, or it's when in Philly, that's when they change it. But I'm going to pick the Eagles still for this one. And then we get to the 4 p.m. games, as it's the big hour conference matchup, as it's the Browns at the Seahawks for the first time since 2015. The Seahawks won the last 3. The Browns haven't beaten them since 2007, and they haven't won in Seattle since 1989. So, the Browns, of course, what a wild game that was that they shouldn't have won, but they did against the Colts, as they've now gotten to 4-2, as their defense and Myles Garrett is just too scary, dominant, good, as their defense honestly was just all offense that week. Their offense was largely horrible, except for their defense. Meanwhile, the Seahawks got a close, not really necessarily impressive victory over the Cardinals, as they've not been as good as they were last year. So yeah, this will be very interesting. But I trust the Browns' defense other than their offense, so I'm picking the Browns for this one. And then it's the Ravens at the Cardinals for the first time since 2015, as the Ravens won the last one. The Cardinals haven't beaten them since 2015, and the Ravens haven't won out in Glendale since 2003. So the Ravens, a very, 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 very impressive victory over the Lions. Gee, why can't the Ravens and Lamar play it like all year, and maybe I could take them seriously, as they've gotten to 5-2, as they looked really good. And the Cardinals have now lost 4 in a row in an ugly game against the Seahawks. Now, of course, the Cardinals have been pretty competitive against the Ravens the last few times they've faced, so cannot be surprised if they do so here. So, yeah, I'm still going to pick the Ravens, but hey, don't underestimate the Cardinals. Remember, they had that good start to the year, so we'll see what happens. And then we get to the Chiefs at the Broncos, as the Chiefs won the last 16. The Broncos haven't beaten them since 2015, and they haven't won at home against them since 2014. After just 2 weeks since their first night game, this game came up fast. So the Chiefs got a pretty good victory over the Chargers. They've won 6 in a row. They have the longest streak in the league, I think. Meanwhile, the Broncos got a needed victory against the Packers to still keep their season alive for the moment. But they need this win here to get back into the wild card race, let alone the AFC West. But don't see it their way at the moment, so I'm going to pick the Chiefs for this. And then it's the Bengals at the 49ers for the first time since 2015. As the 49ers won the last 2, the Bengals haven't beaten them since 2015, and the 49ers haven't won at home since 2007. A matchup of the conference championship runner-ups from last year. As the Bengals came off their bye when they won a defensive effort against the Seahawks, trying to get over 500 for the first time this year. Meanwhile, the 49ers, not looking good right now after losing 2 in a row, and now Purdy might not be playing coming up. That's not a good sign right here. With their struggles, Purdy might not be playing, and the Bengals' 2-game win streak can look solid. I'm actually going to pick the Bengals for this one. And then we get to Sunday night, which should have been flexed out, as it's the Bears at the Chargers for the first time since 2015. As the Chargers won the last one, the Bears haven't beaten them since 2015, and the Chargers haven't won at home since 2007. So the Bears, of course, really destroyed the Raiders, as their backup quarterback played pretty solid too in that game. Meanwhile, the Chargers had a close game at first before getting run over by the Chiefs, as they've now lost 2 in a row, trying to catch back up in the wild card race. But I trust the Chargers more than I do the Bears, so I'm picking the Chargers for this one. And then we get to Monday night, as it's the Raiders at the Lions for the first time since 2015. As the Raiders won the last one, the Lions haven't beaten them since 2015, and the Raiders haven't won in Detroit since 1990. So the Raiders had an ugly game against the Bears, completely humiliating themselves, and they had a chance to get over 500. Meanwhile, the Lions got humiliated themselves when they got obliterated in every single regard by the Ravens. That was a momentum-killing game right there. That looked ugly. Now, of course, not looking good for both teams after last week, but of course the Lions vastly superior to the Raiders, so I'm going to pick the Lions for this one. Alright, so those are my picks for week 1. Cannot wait for Buccaneers at Bills tonight, so my picks are the Bills over the Buccaneers, Texans over the Panthers, Cowboys over the Rams, Packers over the Vikings, Colts over the Saints, Dolphins over the Patriots, Jets over the Giants, Jaguars over the Steelers, Falcons over the Titans, Eagles over the Commanders, Browns over the Seahawks, Ravens over the Cardinals, Chiefs over the Broncos, Bengals over the 49ers, Chargers over the Bears, and Lions over the Raiders. Alright, so see you all next week for my Week 9 picks, and hopefully I'll do better this week too.